Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Future of Health Grand Conference of this year. We're really happy to be in Zurich this year. It's the first time. Usually it happens in Lausanne, because we're actually co-organizing this year's edition with the Swiss InsurTech Hub. So I'm really happy to be welcoming Silvia Signoretti with me on stage today. Silvia is the co-founder and president of the Swiss InsurTech Hub. It's a non-for-profit association driving dialogue on transformation and digitization of the insurance industry. Silvia is an insurance professional with extensive expertise across the entire insurance value chain, driving large and complex transformation efforts. On behalf of the Future of Health Grant, I would like to warmly welcome you all to the conference.
Thank you, Jada. Also, a warm welcome to you, Jada. Jada is a digital health expert. She's been working on this space for a very long time. And currently, she is the Open Innovation Manager at CSS, driving all pilot projects that connect the ecosystems in the innovation in the health space. So it's really a pleasure to be here to co-chairing this conference with you and the Future of Health Grant. So this is quite a unique moment to share with all of you. Thank you, everyone. In fact, what is very special for me is to really bring all these ecosystems together. We're talking of the ecosystem of technology because we are really seeing how the advancement of technology is supporting anything that is touching our own lives, and most importantly, what is feeling touching us personally. I'm also happy to have the ecosystem of innovators. We will meet the insurtechs that are really grasping the essence of what technology can do in very specific moment of our lives and the value chain of health, and also the implementation ecosystem. We will hear them also talking through specific examples. So thank you very much, all of you representing those various ecosystems here. So I hope you will enjoy this afternoon with us together.
So thank you so much, Silvia, for the introduction. So today's topic is on personalized health. I'm sure you heard this buzzword all through the ecosystem, but what does it really mean? So personalized health represents a major shift in healthcare, focusing on the unique combination of biology, lifestyle, and data for the individual. This approach allows us to provide care that is more personalized, impactful, and future-oriented. So when you all registered for today's event, we asked you for 3 words that stood out for you when you heard personalized health. So here we can see some of the words. So we see some of them that really spoke to most of you, like individualized, data, digital, data-driven, but also some other interesting ones like precision, patient first, empowerment. So we really see the breadth of this topic that we will be hearing about through the whole agenda. But what are we actually going to hear, Silvia, today?
Yes, so here are the ingredients of today's interaction. We have organized, of course, an important keynote by Dr. Olivier Michelin, who's a pioneer in precision oncology. We will have 2 panel discussions bringing 2 specific point of views on is personalized health, the future of health, and hearing from the implementers what this means from an ecosystem perspective. In between, we will hear from various startups who are bringing specific solutions that are also competing to run for the Future of Health program. And then we will reveal the winner of the next cohort of the Future of Health grant. So this is a compact, but we really hope full of insights that we can continue to discuss during our networking apero we have prepared for you here outside this room. And with that, we would like to dive into this agenda, but before doing this, I would like to invite Carl Christensen on stage, Global Head of Life and Health. He's the long-standing supporter of the Swiss InsurTech Hub who made this event possible in this amazing premise. Thank you, Carl.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I know, Silvia, you did a small mistake there. You said Dr. Oliver. It's professor. I just say this because my father's professor, and he got very upset when it was doctor. So don't hold it against her, okay? She did mean it. No, a big welcome to you all. As you know, Swiss Re has been around, or many of you hopefully know, has been around for a very long time, over 160 years now. And of course, we've had the fortune to be able to make our impact in making the world more resilient. That's one of our fundamental ambitions. And we do that, of course, by applying our risk knowledge across the world globally. Yeah? And that's enabled us over the years and the decades and the centuries to grow. And we've also created then situations like this building. This is an ability that we've had because of that global presence. Now, it's only a building, huh? In the end, the purpose of this is for people to come together. And that's what we achieved today. So we're super grateful that you have all come here today to spend some time in this building to join your forces together in your attempt as well to make the world more resilient. I saw the word cloud up there. It said individualization as the key largest word. I would much see that as consumers. So as you go through this journey and sitting and connecting today, I think always have that in mind. How do we make the world more resilient for these consumers, i.e. personalized health? So also a very big thanks to the Intratec and for all of the ones that participated. And also the Future of Health grant. It's a big pleasure. And also CSS for the big sponsoring of this. It's super key. It takes a lot to take out time and bring this together. So again, a big thanks. But without further ado, it's now my time to make it right. Professor Oliver Michelin, a big welcome to you. You, of course, have dedicated, you're the head of the oncology department in Geneva. You've dedicated your life, of course, by combining physics research, translational research, as we would say, to drive personal care within cancer, personalized care within cancer. So a big thanks for that, and we look forward to the speech. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this very kind introduction. It's really a pleasure and an honor to be here with you. I think it was very interesting to see in the word cloud that the word data was present at many places. And I think it's probably absolutely to the point. I would like to show you, where we're going now with precision oncology. It's one of the area of precision medicine that probably is one of the forerunner for many reasons, because we can generate a lot of data. And because that data is directly linked to what we can propose to patients. So during this short presentation of 20 minutes, I would like to show you, the type of data that we are handling and how we bring this back to the patient, and at the end of the day, how we change the treatment proposition to a specific case to show you how the data influence the way we make proposition of treatment to our patients. So I'll start here with a very general introduction of precision oncology as a new paradigm. And I start here with a unselected patient population. All the patients are gray, they're all the same. And that's usually what we do in oncology, unfortunately. We don't know better, but we're trying as hard as we can. And when we use this general population, the treatments are effective, but they are effective in a subpopulation. You see here 20-30% that do deliver benefit on a given treatment. So can we do better than this? If you have a magic pencil and you can color code those patients, and now you group them into different boxes, you can define subgroups of patients that are extremely sensitive to one therapeutic intervention. That can be an immunotherapy, chemotherapy, a combined treatment, or a sequence of treatment, as we will see in a minute. And the idea is that orange patient treated with treatment A will do very well. Blue patient will do very well on B treatment, by definition not on A. If not, they would be orange. And then finally, the green ones with also a very high benefit. So it doesn't take a lot of statistics to realize that if you sum the benefit, the survival on the right panel, and you compare that to what you have on the left, you're going to see a major advantage for the patients. Interestingly enough, also, since we are at Swiss Re, this also makes a lot of sense financially and for the patient also, that you don't expose the patient to a treatment that will not be effective. So being able to get the correct treatment to the correct patient at the correct time upfront, of course, will save a lot of wrong lines of treatment that are not effective. And so that's the hope we have. I'm not claiming this is happening and all done, but we know now how to go about this, and we believe data and AI is a key pillar of this transformation of the healthcare system. I'll start here with the various streams of data that we're using to fuel this, what we believe is a revolution. So clinical data, I will show you examples. Multi-omics, I will also show you an example on how this is now entering our decision-making in oncology. And then finally, probably one of the richest source of information nowadays, images. This can be either digitalized cut of the tumor, where we use AI to read the structure of the tumor and actually predict what would be the best treatment for this patient, or radiomics, which is the same at the level of CT scan, PET-CT, whole body images, where AI can help us guide a decision. So first, we need to aggregate these data and make sense, make sure that we're talking about the same data type from no matter where the data is coming from, and then bring that back to a group of experts, a molecular tumor board, where AI is becoming more and more important to make sense of the large quantity of data that we are handling. Of course, very importantly, once we have done this entire process and assigned the patient to a treatment and propose this to the patient, we should bring this information back to the original data set so that we keep enriching our knowledge and are able to do better for the next patient. In Switzerland, we were fortunate to have two major programs. The first one was from SPHN and PHRT, a driver program to try to gather the data from the data warehouse of the hospitals and to norm the data so that we speak the same language. And then a second call that started now 4 years ago, where we are bringing multi-omics into the molecular tumor board for advanced decision. And so with these two programs, I think we have moved significantly, and I would like to show you some example on where we are. Interestingly, we were able to collect all the data from the entire country. So these, you can see that all the university hospitals have participated to these programs. The data warehouse are now connected or connectable. Of course, it's project-based, so everyone needs to agree that, yes, this is a good idea to share this data for that purpose. But at least we can do it, and we speak the same language. So that's really the important change that this program has made. This was a very heroic endeavor at the beginning because we had a very heterogeneous data structure all over Switzerland, no way to actually connect them at the low level. And at the end of the spectrum, we wanted to have interoperable data that we can query so that we can have enough statistics over the country. So how do you jump this death valley? Well, we had to actually agree on a common data structure that every center had to project more or less automatically, not actually with data managers, but with scripting languages, with IT solutions, so that at the end the correct data ends up in the correct data stream. So this has been done, and we were able to actually test the machinery in various instances. An example here, what you see on the left is a prospective randomized clinical trial in melanoma. These are immunotherapies. Each line is a different type of immunotherapy. Overall survival on the upper part and progression-free survival on the lower part. And what you see on the right is the exact same study done in the hardware of the hospital. And that's interesting because you can see already a very nice agreement. Numbers are lower, but you see the same asymptotic values, and basically you start to think that, well, maybe real-world data, the data that we have in our hospitals, are actually meaningful and are capable, perhaps, of guiding treatment decision. So here we just reproduce known data, but we can actually go further, and we started to look at sequence of treatments. In oncology, we start to realize that there are interactions between various lines of treatment. And if you expose a patient, to a first line, but then you decide to go for a second line that could be 2A or 2B or 2C, that's not the same for the follow-up of the treatment. And here, for example, if you follow the orange path or the green path, does that result in the same outcome for the patient? Probably not. And if you have a tool that allows you to capture that and to bring this back as an information to a molecular tumor board, that's something that really can help decision making. So since we engineer our program on the data warehouse, where each new action that the doctors take ends up in the data warehouse, we can, in theory, update our algorithms very quickly and actually get these lines of treatment and these sequences automatically. That's one of the hope for the future of this program, but we already start to do that as I speak. Here, it's an example in our hospital where you can look at an interesting question in melanoma. Should you start with an immunotherapy or should you start with a targeted therapy? No one knew at the time when we started this. And what we observed is the first plot on the upper part, that starting with targeted therapy is better, that's the red curve, until a certain point where it actually dive down and is much worse than starting with immunotherapy. So this behavior was a surprise, but actually a clinical trial asked the same question. It's very rare that we have sequences of events in a clinical trial, but this time we had, and you can see that it's exactly the same. So that's interesting because it means that the data and this sequence analysis actually would have helped us make the wise decision for the sequence of treatment in our patient prior to this clinical trial that took about 10 years to complete. So that's an example where we believe bringing systematically this information into molecular tumor boards will help us be more precise the way we treat the patients. And that's an example of this engine that we put together to show that here we were able to screen 40,000 patients in Switzerland for a specific mutation, BRAF mutation, and we were able to find a very large number of rare subtypes of this mutation and to conclude on the way they were treated, what is the benefit of treatment for this rarer mutation, and so on and so forth. This was sort of a test of the system, but it was very successful in the sense that we were able to collect vast amount of data with the treatment lines, the survival, and so on and so forth. So now we're moving to more advanced data types. As you all know, omics, proteomics, transcriptomics are really the buzzword in many fields of medicine. And what is very important now is that we can look at these omics technologies spatially. That means we can look at this on the cut of a tumor. So now we don't just take a tumor and sequence it and do transcriptomic. We do transcriptomic in situ in the slide of the tumor, which is of course incredible because now we know how each cell in a slide is behaving, which genes are being expressed, and so on and so forth. And it turns out that there are many signals that can be detected at the spatial level. I don't want to bore you with details, but for example, if you have macrophages which are expressing PD-L1 close to the tumor, well, that's a sign that this patient will respond to immunotherapy. And we know why from the biology. So can we do that at scale? Can we use this spatial information? We believe so. That's an example here from an algorithm that we developed where we look at, we segment the nuclei of the tissue. You can see the algorithm working and finding the nuclei and assigning the cell type to lymphocyte or tumor cell or so on and so forth. And we then try to predict whether the patient will respond yes or no. So this is the new field of digital pathology. And it's very important because every single patient in oncology has such a slide. So that means data availability is by definition 100% because you cannot treat a patient without having this H&E slide with you. So what can we deduce from that? Well, the algorithm looked at many properties, hundreds of them. And then we found some properties that stood out as being predictive of a response to immunotherapy. And as always, when you look at the property, you scratch your head and you don't understand why. And then after thinking about it, you realize that this does make sense. And what came out is the fact that the density of tumor cells around a lymphocyte is predictive of response. So the more tumor cell you have around a lymphocyte, the better chance you have to respond. And of course, that means that the lymphocyte, that's the white blood cell, is capable of traveling in the tissue around tumor cell, and that's the phenotype of a lymphocyte that is killing tumor cells. So if you detect through this morphology that phenotype, your patient has a very high chance to respond. It's the blue curve on the upper part or the orange curve on the bottom part that shows that indeed you select a patient population with a much better fate on this treatment. Now, you might not have this whole biomarker worked out, so can you use data to guide you nevertheless? And the answer is yes. So if you have a new patient that works in your tumor board, you have the clinical information, you have this analysis of the digital pathology. Can you use this as a search engine for your large database, not yet in Switzerland, but hopefully soon, of your 40,000 or 150,000 patients? We believe so. You could search for patients that have similar immune infiltrates, similar features on digital pathology, the same treatment history, that are treated with treatment A in your retrospective data. And then you do the same for patients that are treated with treatment B. And with this, you can now compare the effectiveness of treatment A versus B in a context that is highly relevant for your patient, because that's patients that all have the same immune infiltrate, all have the same history of treatment, response to this but not to that, and so on and so forth. So it's a way to create sort of a local virtual clinical trial around your patient to answer a question. And of course, the idea is that we bring this to the tumor board, and if we see that B does better in this context than A, we decide to treat the patient with the correct proposition. So that's where we're going. I think it's shaping up nicely. We hope to really be able to have that in clinical routine shortly. Now, we also have moved towards prospective multi-omics. That's the Swiss Personalized Oncology program that I have the pleasure to run with Bernd Bodenmiller from Zurich and Andreas Vicky, great colleagues. You can see the upper part is the standard molecular tumor board, where we use next generation sequencing to assign a patient to a treatment. And the new part is the targeted omics. So here we're using a next generation multi-omics, spatial omics, to decide on how to treat the patient. And I would like to show you how we go about this, and it's a very interesting program. So it's a Swiss program. Not every center is capable of doing every type of omic for every type of cancer. And so basically what we do is we travel the samples across Switzerland with a slow freezing protocol that has been developed by Mitch Levesque in Zurich. And basically we have the patient consenting, sending the material, and then the material will go to another hospital to go, for example, for the imaging mass cytometry. That's this IMC, that's a specific technology. And then digital pathology will be done on the home hospital, and then drug screening will be done in a ETH facility somewhere. At the end of the day, you recombine all this information and send it back to the molecular tumor board. And you do that in real time, well, sort of real time, 2-3 weeks, so that you can treat the patient at the end of the day. And that sounds pretty heroic as a way to gather the information that you need, but it does work. You see here the recruitment that we are now having. So at the moment, in Switzerland, we are recruiting 3 to 5 patients per week. It's probably one of the fastest recruiting clinical trials at the moment. And I think it's really this cohesion of all the centers recruiting patients simultaneously that really allows us to get to those numbers. So we're extremely excited about this, and now really want to find ways to sponsor that for the very long run, so that we don't stop this very nice momentum. And you can see here all the data that we are accumulating: digital pathology, next generation sequencing, multi-omics, drug screening, and so on and so forth. So of course that's this idea that the next patient will be treated better because we have accumulated more information from the previous one. Just to finish up, I'd like to show you an example of a question that we can ask through this mechanism. So you know that immunotherapy has been transforming the way we treat some cancers, melanoma being the poster child for this, but some patients, half of them, will relapse. And what you see is this situation illustrated by the growing metastasis in the patient. The question is, how do you go about treatment if you have failed this immunotherapy? Immunotherapy is this PD-1 blockade. You can combine with other things, but which one should you use? We have actually a wealth of options that have been validated, but we don't have competition between these. We don't have randomized trial to assess that. So we postulated that interrogating the tumor through this multi-omics, this data-rich content, will help us make this decision. And to show you this example, this is a young patient who progressed after this initial immunotherapy. This is metastatic melanoma. And what you see on the upper part is this H&E, that's this initial slide. We then use this multi-omics, it's proteomics analysis. And you can see that I've highlighted here in red one point, and that point is the number of CD4 T cells. Not very important, but these are a very specific type of cell that we detect through this IMC technology. And now if we look at these T cells, they cluster in this analysis that you see here in blue, and they are extremely numerous. You see that they are much higher than historical controls that we have. Now, if we look at the specificities of those cells through this IMC panel, I have here highlighted FOXP3. Details are really not important, but just this multi-omics allows us to narrow down the exact role of these cells. And FOXP3 CD4 T cells are actually called regulatory T cells. These are immune cells that very strangely are hampering the role of the immune system. These are regulators of the immune system, so basically they stop the immune system's function. And it's important because we believe that this multi-omics allowed us to understand why this patient progressed on treatment, why this immunotherapy did not work for this patient. And the answer is that this poor patient had an accumulation of these regulatory cells that are deleterious for the action of the immune system. Well, it turns out that there is a drug that can deplete those cells specifically. So that's an example where this whole analysis led us to believe that a very good solution for this patient could be to get access to this botensilimab, which is a treatment that will deplete very specifically those cells. And just I take time now to just say how incredibly successful Switzerland is for these questions, because we have the Article 71 that allow us, if we can demonstrate this whole path and the potential benefit for a patient, to get access to this drug for this patient. So that's an example where Switzerland really shines and delivers to the patient absolutely cutting-edge medicine. And this article has to be protected very, very vividly, because it's what fuels a lot of opportunities for our patients. We need to bring a lot of information back for the clinicians to make decisions. And being myself at this molecular tumor board every week, the wealth of data that we have to deal with is absolutely huge. And clearly having tools to interrogate the data dynamically is essential. And Andras Hatos, who is here and has a poster, is developing one of these tools to help us gather the information, interact dynamically with it, and make sense at the end of the day for the good of the patient. So with this, I'll just conclude and just say that we strongly believe that having a data system that we can interrogate, that we can mine with AI, will help us bring the bar one step higher. Better patient selection, better treatment assignment will be key here. And I would like to just thank this fantastic team for SPHN, PHRT, and colleagues for the various cohorts that we are now moving prospectively in SPHN and PHRT, which has been really a fantastic experience among us. So with this, I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Professor Michelin, for this very thorough and complete explanation about what your work. It's really amazing. I will take the clicker for the next, I think. Okay. You stay with me, please? Yeah, you can even take this chair, because you noticed that this year topic of the conference is personalized health with a question mark. So we have kept these question marks because we ask ourselves many questions about what is personalized health and how does it impact the life of different things. You answered one of the first question. One of the first question is, what is doing the research in this domain? So that's a super relevant explanation and explanation about what can be done with the research. We have other questions related to the personalized health. Is, for instance, what is it for the patients? What do we do with the patients? Is there some realistic implementations of personalized health, and is there a risk for disturbing or destabilizing the system, the Swiss healthcare system? And the key question that we need to keep in mind is personalized health the future of health itself? Maybe not. That's something that we need to address. So I'd like to take the next 25 minutes to touch on these big questions together with 4 distinguished guests. So, of course, Professor Michelin, please have a seat here. We will invite Anna Boestruis, who is also with a type 1 diabetes patient, and she made from her condition job. She became a patient expert. She will explain us what does it mean concretely. But also Eric Laudet, who is the founder of Holistic, a startup in the domain of personalized health. You may know Eric as well, because he's the founder of a company which is called Batmade. So, which is very interesting to know why is this shift between Batmade and Holistic. We'll discuss that. And finally, Filomena Colatrella, CEO of CSS, leading health insurance in Switzerland. I'd like to mention that we have a QR code. So I will ask a few questions to this panelist, of course, but you have a QR code on top right here, and you feel like, if you feel like asking questions, we'll save a few minutes at the end of the panel for the question from the room. I will start with you, Professor Michelin, pick up on your presentation. And probably asking a question that many people in the room are wondering is, what are the main barriers from moving from the HUG research to a standard clinical care?
Yeah, I think it's a very important point. I think first we need to integrate precision medicine, precision oncology in the normal flow of oncology. So at the moment we are basically using these approaches when everything else has failed, or when we have competing options and we don't know which one to choose from. So I think it's the way it is now. Maybe in the future we'll be able to challenge some of these standard of care options. But I think first, making sure that we do that in a space that is, in synergy with the other branch of oncology is very important. Second, we need to be able to have a regulatory framework that is enabling.
You mentioned Article 71.
Exactly, yeah. Article 71 is one, but there are many others, from do you have an opt-in or an opt-out consent for the patient? I mean, there are many questions like that are extremely strategic. And I think if we have these tools at hand and we are able to operate, I think what will be then missing is the formal prospective validation. We should have, at the end of the day, randomized trials where you do the precision oncology approach or you don't, and then we should see a survival benefit. That's the standard to accept a new strategy in oncology. I'm sure we'll get there. The question is when and how much efforts do we
at what pace? What do you see in terms of the
I think it's not going to be a black and white transition. I think we're going to see shades of grays. I think we see that in some circumstances we already start to do that. For example, this lymphocyte predictor perhaps could be in the clinic in a year, but that's just for a specific question. But of course we should take advantage of all the opportunities to bring these new options to the patient and start building this revolution, but it will be a transition.
Is it coming from, you mentioned that you recruit 3 to 5 patients per week these days. Is it coming from a larger number of patients that you treat little by little so that things are moving from this side, or is it naive?
So those 3 to 5 patients are the prospective one where we do the multi-omics.
Okay.
But if we now look at all the patients that are being treated in precision oncology in Switzerland, it's probably a few thousand, 2,000 to 3,000 per year. So it's actually quite a big volume, and of course we want to learn from all of them, and so that's why this data infrastructure is key, because if you have a data structure that allows you to get all the information, of course, following all the regulatory aspects, the ethical aspects, and that's of course another question not to, but it's something that we have to facilitate. If you can do that, then of course the chances that you will find interesting cases where you can develop the next generation therapy is very high.
Okay. I'd like to turn to Anna, because you have seen for more than 30 years you're working with your diabetes type 1 condition. So as I said before, you made an expertise out of that.
Yes.
So you have seen the evolution of the treatments, or how we handle the patients individually. Is it something that you see? Do you feel that there is a trend for personalized health?
Oh, absolutely. This is, what I've seen in the past 40 years almost since I was diagnosed is nothing short of remarkable and revolutionary. Where we came from, sharpening our own needles on a, sandpaper to boiling them for disinfection, to now wearing devices that you can barely detect, either under or on, it's visible, besides clothing, it's up to you. And also all the different types of medication that we have available, also medication to treat potential secondary conditions that diabetes might develop, like kidney disease or eye retinopathy, and all these wonderful things that people with diabetes are more likely and more prone to develop. All of this in order to make sure that we can and are able to keep our blood glucose levels more stable, which is more in a healthy range. Also, I know there are fantastic solutions that we'll hear from later on that enable lifestyle choices in a much easier way, whether that is nutrition, or whether that is exercise, or all these things that are so important to a holistic lifestyle when it comes to diabetes care.
Do you see the bigger use of the data, because we are all wearing some wearables somehow? But isn't it an overwhelming flow of data for the diabetes patients, instead of finding something that would be an empowering? Did we reach the empowering stage in this domain, or?
I think it would be naive to say that, yes, everyone's going to feel empowered by this kind of amount of data. I mean, just me alone, I produce over 500 data points per 24 hours. So half of them come from my continuous glucose monitoring system, half of them come from my insulin pump, insulin dosage, blood glucose levels. And this is not even taking into account other wearables for lifestyle, mainly for sleep and exercise and diet and all of these other things that are also important, as I mentioned, or supplements, as we discussed before a little bit previously, and things like that, that I think it's naive to say, yes, it's empowering for everyone. I think it is up to the individual, and it really depends on if the patient themselves are a typical patient or an atypical patient, as we also mentioned before. And I think there is space, and I think it has to become empowering, because this is the way, as I see it, as we also saw from your presentation now, this is the way we're going, whether it's in diabetes, oncology, all of these conditions, we are going that way. And I think we have to make education available, we have to make access and equity available to everyone, to have access to these both data points but also measuring devices, and also make sure that we have the education and the awareness of the individual needs. Otherwise, we are going to leave a lot of people behind, unfortunately.
Is it the same case with oncology, or is it more distant?
I think awareness is a very good point. I mean, how do you broadcast those possibilities? And you know, for us, it's sort of easy because you know we have a limited number of specialists, and most of them are on board with the program. So basically, we go through the medical system to actually propose that to the patient at the end of the day. But in various fields, it could be much more complex to actually reach out to the correct patient population and create awareness. So that's a big challenge. Yeah.
And what about the co-creation? Did we reach the level where the patients would co-create their treatments with the...
I really believe that personalized health is really key to real collaboration in healthcare and co-creating care without me showing up as a patient and without my healthcare provider having the same understanding of what I'm willing to reach, what goals I want to reach for myself, without me being an empowered patient and actually taking this responsibility, extra responsibility, instead of just going to my doctor and say, hey, give me the pill. This is just, I don't want to know anything about it anymore than that. Incorporating both those ends and making sure that the mindset of both patients as well as healthcare providers are actually in there to, hey, we want to do this together, we are a team. It's not, paternalistic as it maybe has been for the past several years. And I think we have to start meeting in the middle, both in terms of mindset, but also in what is available to both sides. Also in terms of, if we're talking about personalization in health, you also have a lot of data points. I mean, we both sides need to have analysis.
We are not all data scientists.
Yeah, exactly.
We need to...
Yeah, exactly. We all become data scientists, and we all need help with the analysis of all these data points.
Okay, and do you see in the last years some evolutions in this domain?
As a hopeless, positive person, yes.
Hopeless.
Yes,
okay.
well, sometimes hopeless, but yes. I choose to believe that, yes, this is where we're going. I've seen a lot of steps being taken, but let's see where we actually end up.
Yeah, okay. Interesting. Eric, so we know you, as I said before, you are coming from the tech startup environment, and you had a very successful company in a totally different domain than the healthcare industry, but you decided to go to launch your next venture into into health, and precisely into personalized health. Why? And why do you put your energy into this domain? Did you see something that we didn't see, or?
I mean, one point in common between Batmade and Holistic is those are both tech-enabled service platforms.
Yeah.
But the problem with Holistic is hugely more complex, obviously, for the...
Explain us what is doing Holistic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So basically, I realized that there was a gap on the market for people suffering from chronic disorders, what we call the gray area of health. People that are not clinically sick, but they are not fine either. So here we are speaking about gut health, metabolic health, women's health, especially menopause cases. And people are stuck between their conventional medicine providers. Let's say they can be diagnosed from IBS after a colonoscopy, and there is no solution in the conventional medicine context. So what do? They try all kinds of supplements. They tried all kinds of prevention and longevity that are absolutely too general, or sometimes a complete joke. Or they go on GPT or Google to find a solution that is not personalized. Or they go to complementary medicine. They try traditional Chinese medicine. It's not enough. It doesn't work. So in the end, the only solution on the market in Switzerland right now for chronic disorders is Holistic. At Holistic, we have a patient journey where we collect the data from an in-depth anamnesis from lab test partners all around Switzerland, microbiome test, blood tests, and the wearables. And we put this into our system to go quickly in a scalable way to the root cause of the disorders. And so by doing this, we can make notably the insurers save at a national level, hundreds of millions for all the people stuck in this medical nomadism, sent to a specialist, from one specialist to another, or overusing medication. So in the end, it was necessary both for the healthcare system and for the patient to set up holistic.
And do you have the benediction from insurances, health insurance? How does it work with the?
So what we do is like we play a new game with old rules. So we have a team of nutritionists and naturopaths that are able to deliver the right support. So this is covered, like the work done by this people are covered by the complementary insurance, and we have a telemedicine platform with real doctors that are covered by the basic insurance. So we leverage on the basic and complementary insurance framework on top of what's being paid out of pocket. This is the best system we found to actually make it accessible.
Can you measure the benefits of this prevention?
So we are putting in place the whole data infrastructure to actually collect this, and the goal is to explore this real-life data, make very detailed cohort analysis, tracking the recovery speed of people so they can rate their symptom. So gathering, as I said, like a very detailed patient profile, and the wearables. And based on this, we can ultimately find solutions that are more tailored and knowing what works in our therapeutics. And sometimes we prescribe medication. We don't say no to medication. We are an online clinic. But we tend to provide very detailed support in nutrition and sometimes supplementation. So yes, and lifestyle changes, yes.
So you focus on the individual, fine, but how can you scale? Because it's nice to think about personalized health, but how can we scale individuals?
Yeah. So to scale, I mean,
crack something on that.
Yeah, I mean, this is a challenge, right? Like between personalization and scalability. So what we do is we tend to streamline the customer journey with the right balance between the human touch point and the digital touch point. We develop our own infrastructure to collect the data and go quickly to the root causes without spending hours analyzing cases. And finding new business models, not relying on the insurance framework. Like we launched in 2 weeks, for instance, for ADHD. I didn't mention mental health. That's well a big topic of us. In 2 weeks, we launched worldwide diagnostics for ADHD and full online support through group coaching live masterclasses with amazing unit economics. This is very cheap for consumers. It has a massive impact on people's lives. So this is how we can scale. Yeah.
Okay, so you say it's global, so it means that you're not only focusing on Switzerland.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, we have this online clinic part and this telehealth part with a strong educational component.
Yeah, and do you already identify some places in the world which are more responsive to this approach? Or?
I mean, it's about targeting the right category of people. So speaking about ADHD, like women, young working professionals is going to be our first niche. And guess what? The US is, as always, as sometimes, let's say, really leading here. The people are really fan of this kind of medicine. So we're going to start in Europe, but 3 months after, launch in the US. This is a really scalable business model. Yeah.
Okay.
The financing part.
No, I won't talk about financing all this. I will first talk about innovation, Philomena.
Yeah.
You're an absolute fan of innovation. You recently graduated from IMD in this domain. Is it public?
No,
I saw it in Bilan.
No, I have to, I have to hand in my paper, so I didn't graduate. But I'll do it till end of the year. Yeah.
Okay, so it's still pending. Okay. Yeah, no, the key question is, for you, Philomena, is this rise of personalized health. This is something that you probably see coming with the rise of data.
Of course.
And all this.
Yeah.
How do you see it impacting CSS as a health insurance?
Well, it impacts CSS in terms of Article 71, for example, which was mentioned by Professor Michelin, which is a really good article. I agree with you. Sometimes it's misused, so I think we have really to talk about how apply this article the right way. But there is a discussion going on with the authorities and with THUC, with all these foundations. I'm in exchange with them. So I think, yes, we are confronted, above all, through this article, which really provides patients to have access to innovation, above all in oncology. And so I would say we have a very streamlined process where we try always to give access to this kind of innovation. We see that's a trend, personalized medicine, individualized medicine, that's a trend. And the question that we have in terms of giving access, make it approachable for our patients is, do we have the right financing systems? Are the tariffs really the right ones to give access? Do we have flexible financing models to go to look to the future of personalized medicine? So yes, we are deep into that topic. And the question that we ask ourselves as a health insurance company is, and that's really true, what does the patient need at that exact time of his life or her life? And so we really shifted from just reimburse invoices to be a healthcare partner per se. And that's why we just went into networking with the health providers and with the policymaker to make sure that we not only can give access to the right therapy, but also to the targeted therapy. And we just built some months ago a network in Suisse romande with the Ensemble Hospitalier de la Côte, and that's why we do these networks, and we just replicate that kind of model all over Switzerland, across Switzerland, because we really are very ambitious we believe that this kind of network allows us to go into the future of personalized medicine, individualized medicine, but not only. And there we are creating or co-creating this network to understand better what the providers are doing, what the health providers are doing, where medicine is going on, and what is the future of personalized medicine. Because we have to understand with the providers, because we ourselves can't do it on our own.
Talking a little bit about money. Personalization sounds quite expensive, just like this. Don't you think that the personalization will break a little bit the mutualization model that we have?
Yes, we have to discuss about the solidarity that is just one of the main principles of our system. Will it be broken by personalized medicine? How can we integrate personalized medicine within the basic health insurance and the supplementary insurance? And which is the role of both sectors of health insurance? I think we have really to make sure that these innovations in oncology, for example, because it's really the main area of application, how do we make sure that our population has access to this innovation? What about the financing of these innovations? There we have lots of discussions and negotiations about the price of these innovations. We have to find a way to give access, and then there is a top-up in the supplementary insurance. And it's clear innovations are often used by people who can navigate the system or just live beside a very important hospital, HUG, or just have this access to this kind of innovation. So we have to make sure, we as a health insurance too, that our patient population knows about these innovations, how they can access this innovation, and how we can discuss with the providers and with the policymakers how to finance this kind of innovation.
There are probably some new models to find to turn the personalized health into personalized prevention. That's a name, a word that you like, I think. Prevention. So it means that we need to find a business model around prevention. It's quite complex, but is there some exploration at CSS for new models? You mentioned the Ensemble Hospitalier de la Côte.
Yeah. Yes, but yeah. I believe very much in prevention, and I think personalized prevention is an interesting topic. But, well, not but, and we try at CSS to provide people with personalized coaching, as you will do the next month. I'm very interested about that. We just try to give our patients the right coaching along or in accordance to his profile that he has at the right moment. That's the primary prevention sector. And why do we build these networks with hospitals and GPs? Because we believe very much that we can have a right to play in prevention, in secondary and tertiary prevention, with the providers, and that's the right way to do prevention. And we hope that we can really get some and some really good outcomes from this kind of doing prevention.
Yeah. Okay. A last question. The same question for the four of you. Very quickly, your quick answer on this question. Do you think that personalized health is a sustainable path forward, or do you think is for a long time still a luxury for privileged people? Anna.
Thank you. No, I really do believe that it has to become a sustainable shift in this arena, but I think it is still a luxury in many places.
Yeah. Okay. Philomena?
It's a fundamental transformation, and we have to make sure that we have ethical foundations, that we have flexible financing models, and that we have proven patient benefits.
Yeah, okay. Eric?
Yes, so as long as we understand the willingness to pay of people for personalized medicine, as long as we catch people at the right time, I think people will start to invest more and more into personalized health, and this is how we can nudge people and the masses to actually invest in their health. So it's definitely possible, and I think it's a human right for people to know where their chronic disorders are coming from and to understand the root cause. So yes, I think it's something for the masses.
Yeah. Okay. Professor Michelin, you have the final word on this. Your
big responsibility. Now, it's clear that personalized health has to be sustainable, but I believe there are reasons to believe it could be. I'm not saying it is, but it could be. When you do all these complex analyses, you can point a patient to a treatment, but you can also do the reverse, which means to deny a patient a treatment that will not work. And if you project that in oncology, where each treatment costs about 100,000 Swiss francs per year, you don't need to save so many wrong assignment of treatment to patient to actually have a huge return on investment. So I believe if we do it right, this could actually not necessarily mean increasing the cost, but actually controlling them.
Okay. Do we have time for a question from the room?
I think we can take one question, a quick one maybe. So we got many questions. Thank you so much. So a lot on data quality, normalization, trust from patients and medical staff when it comes to these new approaches. But just one question, so which was the more data we input to AI model, the more accurate they can become. But where is the limit? And
that's
especially if you think of
Professor
ethical
Michelin,
concerns as well.
No, I think it's generally true, although the quality of the data is absolutely key, and that's a big issue because it's easy to get massive amounts of data. Well, easy, it's possible, but then we need to make sure that we have a QC, we know what we're talking about, and that's where this is becoming difficult. But technology is advancing so quickly. Now with large language models, you can mine electronic records in unprecedented ways. So clearly, I mean, this is a moving target.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, the four of you, for your expertise. Let's investigate how the startups are implementing the personalized health now. I'd like to give the mic to Jade and Sylvia again. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. So it was really insightful to hear from all the different perspectives of the panelists. We have a lot of food for thoughts. I guess we had some answers, some of our questions were answered, but I think we have many more for the apéro later on. But as mentioned, we're now going to hear from 6 startups around personalized health. So I'd first like to welcome Sam Scott. He's the CEO and co-founder of EnhanceD, a digital solution which supports exercise for everyone with diabetes. Sam is also the author of the book Empowered: The Science of Exercise for Type 1 Diabetes. So I guess a good read for many of you today as well. So Sam, could you tell us a little bit more about EnhanceD and what you're actually doing there?
I think this is working. Yes, you can hear. So after a diagnosis of type 1 diabetes, your life is flipped upside down. As Hannah was mentioned, you have all of these decisions that you have to make on a daily basis. And at the same time, you're generating so much data. So what we wanted to do was see if there's a way in which we can help facilitate how people living with type 1 diabetes are able to make sense of that and guide them through safe and effective exercise. So we have 2 solutions. One is a patient-facing mobile app. This is integrating with over 1,000 different devices. And then we're using agents that we've built in-house to build personalized training plans and suggestions on how to use this. And then we also have a clinical dashboard that's assisting doctors.
Great. So you already kind of touched upon it, but can you tell us maybe a bit more of how you're actually playing a role in personalized health? So you were saying that your dashboard is personalized. Can you maybe develop a little bit more of exactly how individualized EnhanceD is for the patients?
Yeah, so we're, as I say, bringing all of the relevant data together, whether it's sleep, nutrition, insulin, glucose, exercise. And type 1 diabetes is quite unique in that the patient is very self-motivated to ensure that the data is very high quality, but they're also incentivized to have the really high quality output. So it's sort of a virtuous cycle in that respect that's quite unique.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Can you just tell us a little bit more what's the future looking like for you? What's kind of the next milestones that we can kind of look out for EnhanceD in the future?
Yeah, so we're going through quite some interesting stages. As I say, the agents that we have, we're testing those now internally in-house, and we'll release those in the next 1 to 2 months. We also, in collaboration with our partner Dexcom, which is one of the biggest CGM manufacturers, onboarding some clinics in the UK. So yeah, things are going well.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Scott. We look forward to following you. Now I'd like to invite Engeni Seguboyina. Sorry for potentially mispronouncing your name. He's the CEO and co-founder of BoneScreen. It's a digital health startup which extracts medically relevant insights from routine imaging. So I also forgot to mention, but EnhanceD and BoneScreen were both part of the Future of Health Grant cohort in 2024, and they were both part of the level 2. You'll hear a bit more about the program after from my colleague Mathilde, for the ones that might not know everything about the program itself. But Engene, could you tell us a bit more, like how does BoneScreen actually work?
Sure. So the CT scan you see on the top is an actual patient in the clinical routine. And hidden inside it is a wealth of information. You have fractured vertebrae, you have calcium in the aorta, and you have fat in the muscles. Each of these are big red flags for some of the most widespread chronic diseases. But in this case, the doctor only recorded the fractured vertebra because that was a radiological question. The rest of it was wasted. And this is what we are trying to change with BoneScreen. We are building a tool that will look at every routine CT and MR scan in the clinical routine and turn it into a personalized risk report that will predict, not only diagnose the disease, but predict the onset or the risk of a critical event. For example, a fractured vertebra or a heart attack. We know that there are a lot of answers in these routine images. Our job is to just make them be seen.
Perfect, super interesting. And how are you kind of connecting this great evolution for osteoporosis with the theme of today, so personalized health? What are you seeing as the trends and potential elements that you can actually leverage with BoneScreen as well?
That's a good question. And Eric was talking about this. So the thing with chronic diseases is after a certain age, almost all of them have this. So it's not just important to check if you have a disease or not, but you have to be able to check how advanced the disease is and how close are you to this critical event. And we believe that with information that we extract or the biomarkers that we extract from these radiological scans, we can personalize that risk and increase the odds of predicting that critical event.
Great. And I also saw that you obtained your CE marking 2 months ago, so huge congrats on that.
Thank you.
What are, now that you have the CE marking in place, what are you going to be doing and keeping you busy for the next?
We are quite busy with selling, obviously. Yeah. We are actively selling in Germany and Switzerland. We are really looking forward to working with CSS on designing a study where we check the clinical adoption, the clinical efficacy, the economic value of this osteoporotic prevention, let's say. And another very interesting thing that I'm excited about personally is so the tool that is CE certified is based on CT scans. Mm-hmm. And we have validated an MR biomarker, and we want to see the clinical validity of that biomarker as well. And this will be the biggest challenge that we have for the next 3 to 6 months.
Great. Well, we look forward to following you very closely. Thank you so much, Anjay and me. I'd now like to ask Barnabé Delars, head of the growth at Biwi. Maybe you know them from the past as Noria. So it's a gamified solution to reduce cravings and consumption of unhealthy food. Biwi has actually been part of the Future of Healthcare family since the start. In fall 2022, it went through all the different levels and is now currently in level 3. So maybe, oops, sorry, no, it was 2. So maybe Barnabé, can you tell us a bit more about this solution and how you can promise to actually reduce cravings?
I was gonna, but now I think you said everything. So, no, basically, at Biwi we are tackling different biological health conditions, mainly overweight and obesity, which is, as everyone knows, a very pressing issue in our society. And the problem with the existing solution in this area is that they rely heavily on motivation, education, willpower, or drugs, actually. And what's worse is that they fail more often than not. So you have the classic yo-yo effect, which when you finish a diet, you go back to your old ways. Or the same with GLP-1s. When you stop taking them, you kind of go back to the eating habits. So with Biwi, we tackle all of that. We blend neuroscience and AAA gaming design experience to make a game that unconsciously reduces your cravings. And so we act at the root cause of the issue, which is the brain reward system. And by playing a game, as you can see on the board, with that time, 5 to 10 minutes a day for 3 weeks, we have those kind of results for most of our patients.
Yeah, I've actually tried Biwi, and it's really a game changer. So they have lots of different interventions that you can do. Can you maybe tell us a bit more about how this makes it really personalized for the different people and the different types of intervention maybe that you offer?
Of course, that's a big part of our development at the moment. So we're building tools that allow us to gather different motor and physical markers, such as pupil dilatation, reaction time in the game, distance to your screen when you play the game as well, errors in the game. So we gather all of that, we combine them, and with that we can predict, diagnose some prevalence, some risk towards diseases, but also tailor the game towards your specific needs. So we're able to predict if you have a preference towards that specific item or another, and suggest to continue training with us.
Great. So you also now have started 2 different pilot projects. Can you tell us maybe a tiny bit more about the next month and what you're actually currently working on these pilot projects?
Yeah, so we've just started with CSS as well. Got the pleasure of working with you quite regularly. So we actually trying to do two things at the same time, which is one, going the health system way through pilot project, try to prove efficacy in real life in a clinical setting or insurance setting, which is what we work hard on. For that product, we also have a dashboard for healthcare professionals to follow their patient and guide them through the intervention. And at the same time, we're trying to launch direct to consumer, so it's going to be a reduce. There's going to be less feature to the app, so not the dashboard, just the app and the game. And so the challenge is to blend those two to try to grow at the same speed and gather market data to fast forward our expansion.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Bernabe. I'm also, as I said, really happy. You can give me back the mic, but thank you so much. We look forward to looking at the results of the project. And now I'm going to welcome back Sylvia, which will present a talk with 3 other entrepreneurs.
Thank you, Jade. Thank you. So, little change of presenter, as Gloria was not feeling well today. We would like to present BioInitials, represented by Nihat Karaoglu, Chief Product Officer at BioInitials. BioInitials is a smart health platform that uses your toothbrush to collect data from saliva to monitor chronic diseases. So we're looking forward to hear more about it. Please come on the center stage.
All right. Okay. Does this work? Okay. Right. We heard about the importance of the data in the panel and personalized preventive health. And personalized health needs personal health data. So where do you get high quality personal health data? That is our startup idea. This is a toothbrush with an integrated lab that can analyze your saliva while you brush your teeth. So your saliva contains 2,000 proteins in common with your blood. And with salivalytic system, we can detect the biomarkers of disease from your saliva, and we can give you actionable insights to prevent and predict acute events. With this, we can prevent emergency hospitalization in chronic diseases. Currently, we are working on asthma, a disease which impacts 1 in 20 globally, very common. It's right after diabetes, and it's the biggest cost source for the healthcare system after oncology. And with salivalytic system, we are trying to prevent emergency hospitalizations with the information that we collected from the saliva. We are planning to extend our application to other important diseases such as cardiovascular diseases and other inflammatory conditions. And we are looking for your support to implement the missing bridge between the person and the personalized health.
This is amazing. Thank you very much, Nihat. Just to recap, maybe again, how your business model brings value to the different stakeholders. Just to recap on this important element.
Yes, it's very important, especially for the insurers, because there needs to be a business model behind the prevention, and that's exactly where we are operating it. So, of course, we are providing value to the patients because they live in constant fear of having deadly attacks, right? So we are preventing that. But in Switzerland, there are about 400,000 asthma patients, and 50% of them visit the emergency department once per year. Very big number. And according to study, this is not my numbers, this is Helsana, which did the study in 2014. An emergency visit for an asthma patient costs about 6,900 Swiss francs per visit. So imagine the cost, the cost savings you can have if we can maybe prevent 10% of these emergency hospitalizations. So also 84% of the Swiss ER system is overcrowded. So we are also helping the ER to reduce the charges, and we are converting these ER visits into ambulatory setting treatments. So
Fantastic.
That's the
Thank
value
you.
we try to
And
provide.
this is part of, thank you for the toothbrush.
It will be available in a year or two, so you can find it.
But I was much looking forward to get it right. Thank you very much, Nihat. We'll see you later. So let me welcome next on stage Luana Eroles, the head of vision of 6360. Luana will show us how it's important to have a structured health data space to really unlock the power of future of health. And she will present as a new addition to the suite of products from S360. Thank you, Luana.
Okay, thank you, Sylvia. Good afternoon. It's working properly, yeah? Well, at the S360, we work with life underwriting, so it's very specific to insurance, but there are many things in learning that has a lot in common in how healthcare works. And the professor helped me a lot already to explain my product because in his presentation, many things that they're doing, it's similar to what we offer in terms of taking data, mining it, putting into a middle that everything makes sense, so all the processes come easier. And the Swiss Hub asked us to present a bit one of the newest things that we integrated in the S360, and this is the face scan. The face scanning is actually used to monitor different signals from heart rate, blood pressure, stress index, cardiac workload, and it can also be derived to more than 30 types of risk factors, can be done by distance. In our case, it's non-diagnostic, so it's for insurance purpose. And the face scan can be done at home with your own camera, but I don't know if I keep speaking or we make questions and answers.
Yeah, no, that's, go ahead.
We do this in a partnership also with Shen AI, that's another startup. And we have different startup products that are embedded into our core where we orchestrate them.
Fantastic. So first of all, it's always great to see that startups can also combine their effort to multiply opportunity for growth and impact. And from a personal health perspective, so this is an amazing addition to your suite of product. Would you like to tell us maybe more about your vision about personal health, what we need to be aware of?
Okay. Well, in general, my vision is also that we need data readiness to take the decisions and to go forward with research with AI. We have integrated AI in our system, but actually AI is not the beginning, it's the middle towards the end. Sorry. And when we don't have good data structures, we don't understand our own ontology, the web semantics, it's hard to innovate with good quality. So this is the key. But beyond that, what we're doing today, something I didn't see on the panel, and I'll just throw here as a hint for everybody to research at home. I do believe the future of health is human flourishing. That is something that's flourishing around in different academias. Go search for it, what it means.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the homework, Lana. Thank you. So, the third startup from the Swiss InsurTech Hub is Xaidi, and it will be presented by Dr. Peter Ovotoki. So looking forward to hear about this Swiss startup that is supporting neurodiverse patients.
Thank you very much. So imagine with me for a few seconds, 86 billion neurons interconnected through tens of trillions of synapses and creating all of the experiences that make us uniquely human. Imagine that for 10 to 15% of the human population, the wiring, it's varied. And the firing of the interconnections, it's different. Now, this leads to a lot of interesting experiences and phenomena. Like, for example, instead of hearing sounds, you see sounds. Or you have hypersensitivity to signals like the drip of water in the tap, or sensory feelings like cashmere on your skin can just explode into new kinds of experiences for you. Now, this leads to a lot of things. For example, you are not well understood, you cannot communicate properly, or you are considered to be not empathetic. You find it difficult to make those connections that help you to live a normal and a flourishing human life. Now, this is the story of the neurodivergent. Now, you could be diagnosed with autism, with ADHD, with dyslexia, or with other kinds of conditions. But you struggle to connect in day-to-day life. And this is why we have created SAIDI. SAIDI helps the neurodivergent to navigate life. After you're diagnosed, you lack information oftentimes. Having access to information that is grounded in science and not playing on your vulnerabilities, it's actually really key. Then having access to tools, like just even reminders to take your medications, to connect to your therapists. Having tools that help you to learn new skills as a caregiver to the neurodivergent, or as a young adult yourself. This is why we built SAIDI, to address the needs of the neurodivergent.
Thank you, Peter. I'm sorry that I was giving a signal for coming close. And we really feel the passion that you bring into this project. You have active partnership and clinical trials also happening in Qatar. How is the Swiss ecosystem going to help you in further expanding your project?
Yeah, thank you very much for that. So we actually started the work of SAIDI in Switzerland with a focus group of 30 to 40 neurodivergent individuals from Zurich here. And then we had another focus group with caregivers in Nairobi and built the first version there before we went to Qatar, right, to capitalize on the interest in that country for autism specifically as a national priority. So we're collaborating with major institutions there, having SAIDI as a way to engage with customers. Now we want to close the loop to come back to Switzerland, right, to be able to offer SAIDI as an option for clinicians, for institutions to engage with the neurodivergent family.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thanks, Peter. An applause. A reminder to everyone that we will have booths outside and giving you an opportunity to further explore what these solutions do bring. I would like to invite on stage our colleague Maya, who in light of health is going to recharge our batteries before continuing to the next part of the agenda.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Silvia.
you, Maya. Please.
Hallo, grüezi zusammen. How's everyone doing today? Okay, please sit down. I will take 5 minutes of your time for a little bit of energy boost. So, while you're sat down, okay, make sure you don't have anything holding your hands. Please put your phones down, put your notes down. So, we're gonna do a mini exercise, a little bit, just to keep the health personalized. So first thing what I would like you to do is take your right hand, put it in a position like this, right? And then try as much as you can to lift your knee gently. Up and down, lift it up and down. We're gonna try to do 5 times. So I'm doing 3 very gently. Don't force yourself, everyone as much as you can do. So we're gonna do the same with the left hand. Okay, with the left hand, keep it straight and try to lift your knee as much as you can. As you can see, I'm sitting in a soft chair, so for me it's a little bit more difficult for you. So we do 4 and we do 5. Okay, while we're being set, we're gonna do a little practice. It's a practice that I picked up from my Indonesian friends. You're gonna tap your bones. So bend down a little bit and tap on the sides. Tap, tap, tap. Then again, we're gonna go from the bottom up, and we're gonna bring here. Again, try to bend forward a little bit, and from the bottom, keep it up, keep it up. And on the sides, it's very nice. You will see here on the sides is very pleasant. So, you enjoying yourself? And here, very nice. On the upper part, close to hip, very good. Okay, I have my notes here. So, was it nice? This is good. You seem to be enjoying this exercise. Okay, we're gonna do the same with our arms. So lift your arm and tap on your arm like this. From your hand to your arm, so at least 2, 3. Okay, very good.
Is this a job at EPFL?
It's part of the entertainment. Energy boost is a special position. Okay, so we do to the right hand as well. Okay, very good. Okay, you can do a little bit here as well. Okay, very good. Now we're gonna gently get up. Okay, we're gonna get up, shake yourself a little bit, just gently. Okay, keep your body straight, raise your arm, again, gently as much as you can. And we're gonna go a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right. Keep your body straight. We're trying to lift the hands, just watch what I'm doing. Voila. And to the left, and to the right. Very good. You see, we have already a full room of energy. One more time. Okay. Now we're gonna put like this, shake it up a little bit more, a little bit for the neck. So keep your neck straight, just bend forward and backward, very gently forward, very gently backward, again forward and backward. Ooh, did I mention you need to breathe in between? Okay, the next thing, what we're going to do is actually one of my favorite exercises. You do the pose Namaste, but you don't do anything. Look, you push to the right and to the left, and to the right, and to the left, and to the right, and to the, and last time. That's it. Yeah. And now we're going to give ourselves a big round of applause. Woo! Yay! Okay. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Maya. I think this was really needed. We knew that we couldn't really make a big break given this compact agenda. It felt that we were training to go to the stadium and do the Ola, and this is how I like to present my partner in crime, Brijesh Luthra. We have been co-founder of the Swiss InsurTech Hub, and he is gonna make a deeper dive on how the implementers will bring their point of view on what personalized health can do for us. Thank you, Brijesh.
Thanks, Sylvia. So the only thing I understood from the last 5 minutes was Namaste, as you can imagine, right? Given my background. But thank you. I would like to introduce my panelists on the stage. So if you can move to the next. So I have my panelist, that's Karen Tremp. She is the principal for insurance and health from BCG. Manuel, he's a health strategy for Explorers, an AI-based heart-focused health startup. And Patrick, partner with the Zulke Group and focusing exclusively on ventures with health tech area. Welcome.
Thank you.
Right, so what we would like to do is shift focus a little bit, right? We've heard a lot about how it has been, how certain research and a lot of things have been done and startups are doing. Let's peel the onion to say, what is the point of view of implementers, right? Because each one of you represent different part of the ecosystem. I'd like to start with Patrick, right? We heard so much about what benefits it can give, how much it costs. But if you work with an insurer, my question is, why should they do this? What's in it for them?
It's a very good question, and I listened very carefully what you said before, Philomena.
Yeah.
There's a number of ways how you can look at personalization, and one thesis that we have is prevention.
Right.
I think that's a very good one, because you'd like to catch diseases before they break out and before they get costly.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the incentives. Of course, it's also a good thing for the patient, because if you don't get sick and you remain more or less healthy, that's a good thing. Now, what you need to do that, there's a huge area opening up now with AI, with connected devices, with tech, which is not biotech. I see 3 areas of products on their own or interconnected that can be really helpful to actually enable prevention. Number 1, we need better detectors. I on purpose don't say diagnosis, we need better detectors. So we need to detect diseases much earlier. And that means we need technologies that are highly sensitive and highly specific. So they really measure what they should measure and not something else. You want to avoid false positives for cost reasons. And you want to avoid false negatives for obvious ethical reasons, but they need to be very specific and sensitive. The other one is treatment, interventions. There's the spectrum from lifestyle changes all the way to treatments, active substances, but also technology. More is a huge wave of technology coming. And here again, you want to be effective. You need to actually have a high probability that the thing works. What we also heard in the beginning in the presentation, we need to increase the probability that the patient actually gets a treatment that works. And that brings me to a third class of products that are emerging now that I call the tester, or the response tester. It's basically you integrate a technology that helps you decide if a treatment is actually helpful. And this we see emerge now. And so all this together, I think, could be a playbook to make this thing work also from a cost side and from an ethical point of view as well.
So cost and ethics, right? So
Yes.
These are the 2 angles. And if I would turn to you, Karen, you've worked with people across Europe, right? Especially in the DACH region and elsewhere. Where have you seen this actually work?
Yeah.
And also, something that was tried and did not work, because I would love to have both the perspectives from you.
Perfect. So my perspective is more from a partnership perspective, because we talked about what is needed. What I see, an example, for example, in Finland, it's called Health Village. It's an initiative started in 2016. The first part was a piloting a project between the main university hospitals of Finland, and it was about mental health. So they wanted to provide patient-centered care, mental health care. And now it's really, after 10 years, it's a huge kind of ecosystem with many different partners, and it's they deliver more than 400 different personalized pathways, treatment pathways.
Wow.
And it's really, let's say, it started with acute care, now it's about preventive care and also about chronic care. And they are, at the moment, they want to scale, they want to include more AI, so that's the link to your input. And so I think it's a very successful example. These are outside of Switzerland. In Switzerland, we have similar efforts, of course. We have, let's say, hospital regions. They cooperate with different players. But I think this Finland example really shows that after 10 years, you can really have something that is working and that is really massively scaling. I don't want to talk so much about the failed efforts, because not successful efforts can lead to the first successful efforts, because you learn a lot, right? And it's extremely difficult in healthcare, in many different systems, to try something new, to partner with different players. But what we see is really, it comes down to be very picky about the stakeholders we work with for the piloting, for example. Be very clear about reimbursement incentives for the different stakeholders, and work co-create with the users or with the patients and your partners. I think these are the three main success factors for such efforts.
And if they're not done well, they could lead to something that not working as intended.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
And maybe not too much rely on a political agenda. We see this in some regions. Try to be, not so much politically involved, maybe,
But that's the reality of it, right?
Yeah.
So there's a theory and reality it has to be implemented. And if I turn to you, Manuel, first of all, Explorers, maybe a couple of words about what you do so that everybody understands, and then I want to ask you a couple of questions.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we have basically developed a biomarker which can detect the blockage of heart arteries.
Right.
So usually do this with imaging or with a catheter to really know if your artery is blocked. We can do this with blood.
Okay.
An algorithm which basically then can detect the blockage or the existence of the blockage, and according to the guidelines then suggest what's the next best step.
Okay.
If you should be sent home, if you should get imaging, or if you should go straight to a cath lab.
Right. Okay. So on paper, sounds perfect, right? It is the right thing to do, as we also talk about oncology, right? But to actually get it to market, right? I know how long it took you to be successful, but I'd just like to share your story about what are the biggest challenges that you found to actually so that people can start to use it?
I mean, usually you would say the research, research is tricky to find actually innovation and something that works. Bringing it into a product is the next step, and then bringing it to the market. But the healthcare system is not a free market.
Okay.
It's by no means being disrespectful, but it's following special rules, and you have payers, you have HCPs, and you have different stakeholders who basically have different interests in the system. At the end, everybody wants to get the best done for the patient, but for a young company, it's not so easy to find the way into the system, because if you don't want to place your product for the self-payer, if you want to bring it into the general reimbursement system, you have to have a very long breadth in order to make it to the end. And that's something where young companies are struggling and are really relying and requiring support from payers, from stakeholder organizations to basically lobby and be bold. And brave to bet on innovation.
So if you link back to Sukaran, you said you worked with, the Finland example was a great one, right? So what parts of the issues that Manuel just spoke about did they tackle well?
Yeah, they tackled well that they are really open with whom they wanted to collaborate.
Okay.
So there was a lot about research cooperations and co-creation. So I think the mindset really was to work with players outside of their, let's say, of hospitals. So they really wanted to include other perspectives and also other knowledge. So I think that's the most important thing. And they took their time. So it was, there are examples in other countries where the introduction or the implementation phase was shortened due to political but also other reasons. And it really takes time to build a trustful relationship with different parties, but also to include the patient.
So time and inclusion of patients, right? So that's key. You, in your experience, when you worked with the insurance in Switzerland, do the Swiss insurers actually have time to actually come to fruition from your perspective?
Actually, yes. I mean, to be very honest, I don't have that many cases where we go to market in Switzerland, even more and more.
Yeah.
A lot is in the US or other European countries, the UK. But I don't see kind of resistance, or I see it as quite positive, to be honest. It's helpful. I think what is really important is to have clinical evidence. I think that is really important, whatever you do. If it's fall prevention for an elderly home, all the way to a new diagnosis for a cancer tumor, the evidence is very important, and that's where I see also a hurdle, because new technologies can't always have equivalency to what's already around, and so this can create really a lot of problem getting to your data and getting yourself funded as well.
So equivalency, getting people to try it, in a way, right? So that's one of the biggest hurdles.
So equivalency is basically getting the data and credibility that it actually works.
Perfect.
I mean, one example is blood pressure. I mean, how long do we know blood pressure? But to get a new sensor certified under and with an old standard being the gold standard, it's a problem in itself. And so this is the kind of problems that we are dealing with.
Yeah.
Data privacy, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
So data privacy. So what's the biggest challenge for, let's say, from an insurance industry standpoint? So where do they fit into to make it work?
Maybe do we want to first and
then? We have a nice example. I mean, also Switzerland is not our first market because I mean, we have so much runway as a small company, so we need to see where we can get the biggest impact in the shortest amount of time, because our investors are also chasing us. But in Germany, we're collaborating with AOK. That's also a big health insurance, and they basically went into utility study and said, okay, let's test it. We pay for it. We know you cannot do it, but we see the value because we have the clinical evidence, and we want to now generate also the health economic and prove actually the utility of the solution. And then the other health insurances will join once these results are available. But this pivotal first step is required, because otherwise you're just turning in circles and everybody's saying, yeah, come back when you have more data, but sometime you need to start, and that's something we're relying on.
Okay, so it was lucky for you that, or using your evidence, you found somebody who's willing to give it a shot.
Exactly.
Right? And go ahead.
Maybe, I mean, my experience with the question of insurance is very much tied to the codes, coding, CPT codes, all these kind of codes, and so it's a combination of how do you integrate the healthcare professional?
Okay. Yeah.
What does your device or your product actually do, and what's your evidence? And this combined gives you a code. And once you have a code, I mean, the whole discussion is going much better. But from my point of view, the actual strategy on how you're going to code your product is very, very important. At very early on already.
At very
early stage, yeah.
And at the end of the day, given how the European and Swiss healthcare system works, right? You, Karen, work with the senior leadership of insurers from a strategy perspective, right? Where do you see they are from moving beyond, I think, Philomena, you spoke about moving beyond just reimbursing for, I don't know, gym and a few other things. Where's the play with the strategy there?
Yeah, so I distinguish between three types of insurers. You have the insurers that say we focus on our main tasks, so it's about claims processing and deliver quality, ensure quality treatments, right? Then you have the in-between ones. They look ahead. We have more than it's a fragmented landscape in Switzerland, right? So you have the in-between. They adapt, they follow others, and then you have the leaders, which the bigger ones usually, they really want to implement and include AI. They want to broaden, let's say, their partnership landscape. They like today, so they really support new intertext, they support new ideas, new partnerships. And it really depends on what kind of measures you have. So we have the forerunners and the in-between, let's say. As Manuel said, I think very important are the forerunners. They really, they finance new ideas. They really help intertext new players to provide their products to the industry. So I would distinguish between the three of ones.
So who you worked with, ALK for in Germany, right? So where did they land in the spectrum that Karen just described?
For us, they are innovators because they believe in something that the standard of care is not yet used to. Because, just taking our solution, we can exclude a coronary artery disease based on basic blood parameters, where today you need to go to imaging first in order to get that precise answer. So we can move the entire process from the radiologist to the general practitioner.
Yeah.
And that's a shift in the patient pathway. That's a bold move, because the GP is not used to having this intelligence for this kind of question in his or her hands. And that's something where, first need to understand, okay, that's a disruption of the process. We need to establish the financial incentives in order to making this happen. And then we will save a lot of money down the road, but also we will find many patients who are being missed today because they cannot be found with the basic tools. Or you have a lot of overdiagnosing, sending patients for suspicion, which ultimately don't have this issue. And that's something where, more precise, and that's why I don't agree with the question mark behind personalized. I mean, that's the only way it will go. It will just take time, but there's no way that we stay average medicine.
Average.
So it's going to be personalized. The data will help, and it will get cheaper and better.
Yeah.
So.
And to really then get it personalized, right? At the end of the day, the user, if I were to call it, quote unquote, they have to be convinced that it works for them, right? If you look at the plethora of potential solutions available, so you work in the ventures with a lot of health tech space, right? So what is it that is making some of them click with the consumers and some of them not, some of the solutions?
It's a good question. If I have an example of a company we invested in Sweden that treats depression with a stimulator instead of taking a pill.
Yeah.
And there, the key differentiator is side effects. Okay. People are so happy that they have a treatment without the side effects of a pill. And this is so sometimes it's hard to predict what the actual value proposition is going to be, especially for the patient. It's much easier to understand because it's quite a cold analysis if you look at the HCP or healthcare professional, but for the patient it's often difficult. Number one. Number two, sometimes they don't even know that they're just that they use a product. And so sometimes there's no impact at all. But if you have and I do think the healthcare is going more and more consumer, and so this type of value creation for the consumer is actually going to increase.
What I also see is time that you can save. For example, there are services for children with diabetes, so it's kind of a hybrid treatment path. Or also for people that are in the working process, you can save time by using innovative tools for treatments.
So that's time for both the patients, the doctors, as well as somebody who has to then reimburse for it. And Manuel, you've grown, you've scaled, right, and really successful. So if you were to talk to some of the people who are actually now trying to implement some of these new solutions, right, what would you recommend to them? Because eventually it has to come to fruition. Beyond this conference, beyond a pitch, it has to come to fruition. What would you tell them?
I mean, don't spend too much time in your closed walls looking at your product and making it release after release better and more sophisticated. That because I think that's a little bit like also the over-engineering tendency. Let's go with something out to the market, test it, get feedback, and then implement that feedback or respond to it. I think the market is the truth. The other thing is something, you're pretending something to yourself, and that's where, white sneakers in front of a fancy coffee machine and massive, roadmaps. I think that's an advice I would always give, rather go out early. Because a plan is only a plan until you get the first punch in your face, a famous boxer once said. So I think that's the advice I would give.
Okay.
Early and choose a beachhead. Choose a market, entry market, a beachhead.
Choose the entry market, okay.
Exactly. Just to make sure that because probability that something doesn't really work as you predicted is high.
Is higher.
So beachhead.
If you allow me, just to get it back to you, because earlier you said that data is important, right? And now we are saying that in certain times, maybe even if you don't have enough data, try something. So where's that inflection point then? How have you seen that inflection point coming in? Right? Because that's how it will actually work in reality.
Well, I generally agree when you say go out early, but that doesn't mean that you don't do your homework.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so I often get the question, okay, when did I do my homework? Mm-hmm. And I don't know, just to give you an example, if I'd like to figure out what the neurologists, how they work, and if my product actually will fit their needs, I can talk to 5 or 10 or 200.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the absolute number is, but what I do know, if I talk to enough people, there's like a curve of diminishing return of new information. And that's where at that point you're ready to go.
Okay.
So sometimes it's 100, sometimes it's 200, sometimes it's 50. But the point is you need to do your homework. Just going out and just trying stupid things doesn't work. So do your homework.
So on that one, Karen, you must have also seen examples of where, say, this clicked because of homework X. So can you think of something that?
Yeah, the click, you see traction, right? That's the word you have to, or the promise you have to fulfill. And it's really sometimes very unpredictable. You can do a lot of homework and research, but when the customer, the client when it doesn't click, maybe there's not, there's a mismatch between the image of the provider or there was a breach or something. So the client or the customers are very sensitive to database solutions. What I understand is really that you need the right partners and be trustful when it comes to data. What kind of data do you share? What kind of data? Be very transparent about it, and then it helps to click.
That helps to click. So probably the last question before we open it to, who is your best friend if you are an innovator trying to bring it to the market? Who do you think, from your experience, is your best friend to make it work?
Best friend.
That's a lot of people. A lot of people looking at this question very, very. It doesn't have to be you. Anybody else would like to.
I mean, it depends a little bit on the solution. If you're talking to a patient directly, of course. I mean, at the end, everything should be for the benefit of the patient, not just for investors. Or, but if the patient doesn't benefit, it's not worth pursuing. But if you want to bring something into the standard of care, for us, the health insurance is a very important partner because the doctors are no salespeople. They are not used to selling extra services. They basically do what's written in the guidelines and apply the best tools they are aware of. But if they're not paid for, they cannot convince the patient to take advantage of them. So if that element is not working, it will not come into the mass adoption.
Into the mass adoption. Fantastic.
So for me, what I really like is to work with specialists that have their own praxis.
Okay.
Because these are entrepreneurs, and you can offer them a deal. And so they will prescribe your product.
Okay.
And so this is my best friend.
That's your best friend.
For me, it's piloting partners.
Okay.
So start small and then scale. But that's a no-brainer. The problem needs to be big enough to provide value, right? Yeah. So the customer.
I think this is where crux. So personalized health makes sense. There's a lot of cost associated with doing research, getting enough data, but finding the right friend or the partner who can bring it to the consumer at the end of the day, right? Not the doctor, not the insurer, but to the consumer. And only then will they see really getting implemented. So I think that's what we're saying.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you. Any questions from the audience, Sylvia?
Yes, the audience has submitted so many questions, and there is a chance to bring a couple of them together.
All right.
People were keen about to solve the big problem of the chicken and the egg issue, because implementers want proven and tested solution, but startups have to have access to the implementers to actually test and validate solutions. On top of this, another person then asks, yes, but we also need the money to create traction, because traction is needed then to raise the money and continue. So, and on top of this, of course, comes who is the first risk takers when we need to think about regulation, ethical use, and so on. So I think this is a kind of corridor.
So the money comes from Philomena and Nicola, right? I think that's very clear in this group, right? But coming to that, so since you've been as a startup who brought things to us, so the chicken and egg part, right? Where?
I mean, I've been roughly 15 years in a big corporation where every process was like from the start to the end pretty much defined and gone through hundreds of times.
Yeah.
In the startup, it's about failing fast, agility, flexibility, creativity, finding people who can help you with your innovation, who believe in it, and you build on that. And that's something you need to be much faster in making decisions on what really matters and what not. So I think the chicken and egg problem won't be solved, but your response to it is different than in other established systems.
Okay. Anything that you'd like to add?
Not much. I mean, get your tech ready first, and then clinical data. And you can also work with early access programs. You'd be surprised how many partners are willing to work with you in early access programs.
Any other questions? Or that was a subset. And what's the best way to then pitch? Since we have one last question from myself, what's the best way to showcase your success? What's the best way to showcase your success?
I mean, building on what you said, the clinical evidence is a must. It's non-negotiable. You need to have it in order to show that you're superior, safe, and bringing value to the system.
Right.
Then I wouldn't stop with the clinical evidence. I would also add to the economic evidence, because if it doesn't create a benefit for the financial system, it's also not going to be adopted at the end of the day. So you need to have trusted partners and good or basically documentation about this evidence in order to prove that you have something that is not just a gadget or something a little bit more colorful solving a problem, but really disrupting. And if you have those homework done, then I think that's a good starting point.
Right. I'm the investor here. I'm quite cold. It's return on investment. It's very simple. Okay. But personally, to be very honest, we've brought a lower back pain implant to market, Nasdaq IPO, and the CEO and the board got letters from happy patients because they were relieved of their back pain. And this, honestly, for me, that was one of the best things ever.
That was the best thing ever.
I would also agree the client or the customers, happy customers, and also economic value, because otherwise you're kind of a showmaster, but you need to provide to prove economic
value.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for all the questions from the audience. Valeria, I think hand over to you. Matilde, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brijesh. So this is the last session of the conference. So my name is Mathilde. I'm part of EPFL Innovation Park, where I manage the Future of Health Grant program. And we have some exciting news to share with you today. So let's dive straight in. So let me go to the next slide, if it works. Our mission is simple: help the best early-stage digital health startups bring their solution to the Swiss healthcare system. So how? By being able to test their solution on the field. And this is through multi-party pilots where you have the startup, the healthcare provider, and the insurer. To get there, we offer 4 key supports to startups: professional coaching, partner mentoring, CXO as a service to augment their team, can be a CTO, can be a CFO, whatever they are missing, and of course, the grant funding at 3 different levels of maturity. So this year has been record-breaking. I should say record-breaking again, because it's becoming a pattern. So for the fall 2025 cohort, we got 283 applications from all over Switzerland and abroad, and we selected only 6 startups. So who are they? This is the moment we have all been waiting for, the reveal of our fall 2025 cohort. And we will start with level 1. The selected startups are Alsensia, Ilium, and Phonemia. Founders, please join me on stage. I will be moving to level 2. We are missing some founders there. Ilium, Alsensia, okay, cool. Let me move to level 2. We have 2 startups selected at level 2, which are Monix and Neurodiagnostics. Welcome. And, well, it doesn't matter. And at level 3, returning after completing level 2 of the program, we have BoneScreen. So congratulations to all. So let's give them a huge round of applause, make some noise. So now time for some quick intros. So one sentence each, then pass the mic to your neighbor.
Okay. Those who have already forgotten about me, I'm Anjani, CEO of BoneScreen. We are developing an AI-augmented screening tool to detect some of the most common but underdiagnosed chronic diseases using routine radiology images. Thank you.
So hello, I'm Gaëlle. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Alsensia. And we are combining cutting-edge virtual reality technologies with artificial intelligence and biofeedback to enhance mental health cares for mental health providers. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mathieu Akogenu, also named as Akinde. I'm CEO of Phonemia, and we are using human beatbox as a new tool for speech therapy rehabilitation. And for those who don't know what is human beatbox is... Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Monsef Assa. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Helium. And at Helium, we are making medication management easy and safe for elderly people.
Hello everyone, my name is Perrine Lhuillier and I am the CEO of Neurodiagnostics. So at Neurodiagnostics, we use artificial intelligence, neuroscience, and advanced sensing technologies to enhance the speed and precision of neuropsychological assessments.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Francois Smatz, co-founder and CSO of Monix, and we are developing the world's first wearable biosensor that measures female hormones in real time. Still have 6 minutes we can pitch.
So thank you to all the startups. You may leave the stage, so let's give them another big round of applause. Okay, so now let's switch gears. As you know, the support of our partners is key to helping startups progress. And today we would like to highlight CSCM, a Swiss Innovation Center, which really specializes into the development of hardware and AI solution in digital health, but also in many other domains. So CSCM is offering every year 2 Future of Health grant startups, 5K each, in the form of technology development and engineering support. And this is on top of their pro bono mentorship that they provide to the program. So welcome, Baha. So Baha is Vice President at CSCM. And together with me, he will hand over the prize to the 2 selected startups. So let's discover who they are. So we had 13 alumni, this year's alumni, competing for the prize. And the winners are Oncoboard and DJ Health. Please come on stage.
Let's start with DJ Health.
You want the mic?
Yeah, I'm here too. Pardon. Congratulations. Again, it was very hard. We've seen that there is a lot of startups, and as you know, CSCM, we need also to choose carefully because we have a set of technology that we can provide. And my question for you: how do you think that CSCM can help you in leapfrogging your time to market?
So first, thank you so much, and this is a great pleasure, and we are very honored to receive the prize. So we have a lot of ideas, and yeah, the first one that I can think of, you are having a lot of expertise in implementing sensors, especially when it comes to PPG data, and we are having the PPG sensor. It's there, so we are going to improve the robustness of our device.
Great. And we look forward to collaborate together. Bravo again.
Thanks a lot.
And now with Oncoboard, congrats again. We have had a first discussion.
Thank you very much.
Just before the event. Where do you think also that CSCM can help?
So many ways, from starting this software to help to adopt to other hospitals our software, and not only in Switzerland but also beyond.
Great. Congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
And I really look forward for this nice opportunity of collaboration.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Baha. And congratulations again to all the startups. So to conclude, we have just one quick but important update. So we are expanding our partnerships at the Future of Health grant. First, at the Swiss level, with the Swiss Foundation for Innovation and Training in Surgery, the SFITS. They are based in Geneva, next to the HUG, and they provide really cutting-edge facilities for the testing of surgical and interventional technologies. And then we have ESAV, Haute École de Santé Vaud, that will be bringing their clinical expertise, innovation expertise, and also all the skill set of their school to the program. But that's not it. At the international level, at the European level, we are partnering with 2 of the leading accelerators in digital health, Future for Care in Paris and Berlin, and the Barcelona and Madrid Health Hub in Spain. So these partnerships open new opportunities for our startups, so increased access to real-world healthcare environment, but also increased access to some of the largest European market. And this will make it easy for them, for example, to form international consortium if they want to apply for European projects. So that's it for the Future of Health grant today. I could say much more, but the aperitif is waiting, so I'll ask Sylvia to join me to conclude this event.
Super. Thank you, Mathilde. Again, thank you, everyone. First of all, I would like to say thank you to Nicola and to the entire team of the Future of Health grant, because this conference is really the result of great collaboration and partnership. This conference has been held for the past years in Lausanne, and they trusted the Swiss InsurTech Hub to make it all across the country and come into Zurich. Thank you. Really appreciate it. And also, I would like to thank overall CSS for this collaboration, BCG, Boston Consulting Group, Zulke, Exploris, to also contributing in this event. And of course, we also have our ecosystem of supporters that I hope you will meet in our upcoming events.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and also to Swiss Re again for hosting us here. and giving us the opportunity to meet.
And maybe I would like to add that today's conversation, they don't end here, right? So there are many ways to engage with us. You can follow us on social media. You can join our ecosystem of partners. If you are a startup, you can apply to the Future of Health grant, of course. And of course, there are these multi-party pilots, which are essential to validate technologies on the field. So being part of those is another way to engage with us. And I guess the best place to start is at the aperitif, right? So let's keep this conversation going, spark new ideas together. But before we do that, we would really want to thank the whole team that organized the event and ask them to come on stage with us. So Amalia, Valeria, everyone, Rijesh, Nicolas,
Jade, Amelie, Valeria, We didn't want to miss the team picture.
So thank you to everyone, and I think they deserve a big round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies.
And now it's really time for the aperitif, so enjoy.
Looking forward.
Cool.
Cool.